So Tournament of Death is slowly but quickly approaching. Last year you were able to make it to the finals of the tournament, which was definitely a standout moment really for anybody, because it's been a long time since someone's been able to come into CZW so quick and make it that far in the tournament. But this year you'll be facing Masada in Barbed Wire Madness. Now, you had that match a few years ago with Arrow Boy, and I'm wondering if you've seen that, and what's it like to be wrestling Masada, who's been around for years?
Well, if you're asking if I've seen that match, yes, I have seen that match. I saw that match from inside the guardrail. I was standing right there for the entire match. What's like wrestling Masada? I've been around Masada a lot, and in the ring he's eluded me, but so a lot of people came up to me and said they already thought that I had wrestled him, and I actually had not. To me, it's another opponent. This is TOD. This is the big one, and I'm not worried about my first round. I mean, I'm thinking about it, but I'm not worried about it. I'm focusing on the finals and the second round, the whole day as a whole, as opposed to one match individually, because in order to win TOD, you don't win one match, you win three of them.
Well, last year you made it to the finals, like we previously mentioned, but you sadly didn't pull off the win. So what do you think the differences are between then and now in terms of your style and how you're going to be able to win this year?
Experience, obviously, is something. I know a whole lot more now than I did last year. And just about being smarter, see how it goes. Last year I had DJ Hyde and Nick Gage in the first round, and they both tuned me up nicely, so maybe I can make it farther with a little fewer scratches, fewer bruises, and a little more blood on my body.
So something that I'd like to touch on with CZW is you did a lot of singles work last year, but near the end of the year you started doing more tag teams, and now you're doing a lot of tag matches. So how do you like tags compared to singles?
I mean, I never mind wrestling with my Nation of Intoxication brethren. Me personally, I always prefer singles matches. I am in the Nation of Intoxication, but I've always been kind of a lone wolf kind of guy, so I definitely prefer just to have it all in my hands and being able to fully do what I want to do.
Well, the Nation of Intoxication is a faction that's been around CZW for a few years now, but you're the newest member, and in order to get in, you had to, you were a pledge and then did the Deathmatch Trial Series. First match, I guess, you did Thumbtack Pits against Lucky Thurteen. How was that match?
That match was bloody. That match was, 12 minutes long. I remember bleeding for 4 to 5 hours after. Just my head, everything was bleeding. That's one thing I remembered about that. After the match, Lucky sat me down, and he goes, he told me the one thing I need to do better is to bleed less.
Yeah, that was very bloody, actually. I don't think anybody really expected that much blood, because it was, thumbtacks aren't, they are, of course, painful, but aren't like glass or whatever. But wow, that was crazy. And then
there was a couple chairs involved, and
yeah,
they contributed to the blood.
Yeah, with the chairs, there was like a tornado DDT from the top rope to the floor on the chairs. That looked very painful. Do you remember anything from that? Because that was nuts.
I remember it didn't feel good. I absolutely remember that. And then I remember opening my eyes, and all I saw was a foggy red tint over everything. And that's all I saw for the rest of the match, was foggy and red because all the blood in my eyes.
And, well, the next month, you did Barbed Wire. You did a Barbed Wire scaffold match at Best of the Best against Devin Moore. So how was that? Because, oh, my God, you ate shit from the scaffold. It was crazy.
I absolutely ate shit from that scaffold. I ate a big, big plate of shit from that scaffold.
You did the dive, and then there was, a tombstone. So, yeah, how was that?
Oh, that match was pretty wild. One thing I remember is Devin Moore giving me, he picked me up in a fireman's carry and dropped me on the floor through a barbed wire board. And, yeah, barbed wire cutting into your flesh does not feel good. The one thing I remember specifically about that is those boards don't stop you nearly as much as you think. Oh, I felt the floor and the barbed wire in between me and the floor. And then I remember trying to get up, but the barbed wire was all caught in my skin, my trunks. And all I could think to myself was, my flesh grows back, but those trunks, they cost some money. So I got my clothes, the gear I was wearing, free of the barbed wire, and I just had to rip the rest out of my back. That was fun. Jumping off the scaffold, I went off the scaffold actually twice in that match. Way more devastating than the other time, obviously.
Yeah.
I had a golf ball on my knee from those chairs for about 3 to 4 months after that. And even to this day, it's still just a little bump that doesn't go away. So I always have a nice little memento to look at in that match.
Wow.
What did he finish with? He jumped off. Oh, yeah. And then he threw the barbed wire board on top of me, and a piece of that barbed wire went right in my dick. Oh, that was And having barbed wire in your dick doesn't feel good to begin with, let alone have Devin Moore jumping off the top of the scaffold onto the top of that barbed wire board that's already in your dick. So, very obviously, I can always remember these matches. I enjoy the fact they happened, but while they were happening, a lot of them weren't too pleasant.
Yeah, barbed wire dick is never fun. And, well, the next month, definitely the bloodiest of all 3 matches. You and Danny Havoc did Pain Glass. That was absolutely crazy. What do you remember about that?
I remember having no flesh left on my back when I got home. I remember passing out my bathroom from Blood Boss after I got home. I remember having to drive with my seat all the way down for a month, just holding on to the steering wheel because nothing could go against my back. I went into my job the next day, and my boss sent me home because I was still dripping blood down my legs and stuff. I remember Danny sliced open his arm. Now, he didn't have as many cuts as I had, but I don't know if anyone noticed, he really, really sliced open his bicep. He had fat pouring out of his arm and stuff. It was bad. I remember he went to the hospital, and one of our buddies was making fun of him for that because they said, "Oh, Renz didn't even go to the hospital." People asked me how many stitches I get. I didn't get any because I went home and I fell asleep. And now, whenever I change my sheets, I see all the blood stains that are still on my mattress.
Well, one of the things in that match, that was it. That was finally, you've done your series, and now into the Nation of Intoxication. But you had to run off OI4K. And even after that, they put the jersey on you, and the blood was running through the jersey. It was absolutely nuts. So, how was that being initiated into the Nation?
I did watch that jersey since. The one thing that whole situation kind of ruined for me was I'm a big horror movie fan. So now I just watch horror movies, and I'm like, oh, that's not nearly enough blood to actually be, detrimental to someone's health, because I know exactly how much blood someone can lose before it starts becoming an issue. That's one thing I always think about now. I watched the jersey. It happened a year ago, so I started seeing all the pictures from, 1 year ago, this happened. And, damn, I look at that, and, I see that picture on a lot of, Facebook deathmatch groups, and I'm glad I give something back, something that's memorable and somewhat viral is just that picture of my bloody back. People seem to always like that. And then, obviously, every time I see my back, I can remember that match, just like the little golf ball my knee from scaffold match.
Then, your next CZW show was Tournament of Death. And in the first round, you had DJ Hyde and Nick Gage. But actually, before that, right after, you ran off OI4K at the end of the Proving Ground show, you called out Nick Gage. And the crowd was silent at first, and then questioning, and then crazy. Because, not many people call out Nick Gage. So what was it like to wrestle him and DJ, of course, in round 1 of TOD?
I mean, I hate DJ. DJ fucking sucks. Fuck him. So I was really glad to beat the shit out of him and get a chance to break some glass over his face, and I smashed a guitar over his head, and that was one of my moments, just feeling to beat the shit out of him because he sucks. Fuck him. And as far as Nick Gage goes, Nick Gage is the pinnacle of deathmatch wrestling. There's not a man alive who's seen as more of a badass than Nick Gage. So to be the best, you got to beat the best. And, obviously, I know what I want, and I know what I'm capable of. So that's exactly why I called out Nick Gage. So I knew exactly what I wanted, and I knew exactly who I had to face to get it.
And, of course, round 2, you face Jake Christ. Now, Jake was invited into the tournament by Danny Havoc, but they didn't get to wrestle that night. But you did get to get your hands on him. So what advice did Danny give you prior to that, for wrestling Jake?
Danny's advice is he's a very simplistic man. It's usually along the lines of fuck him up, beat his ass, kill him, so, something along those lines. Very, very simplistic, but it's always very motivating. You see the faces and the way he says it. He's a very intense man.
And finals, you were involved in a great match. It was crazy because there was barbed wire netting, there were panes of glass, there were light tubes, and you were in there with Matt Tremont. Now, Tremont won the tournament, but you didn't go unnoticed. He definitely gave you props after the match. But how was it to wrestle in the finals of TOD in your first tournament, where the year before you were working the guardrail and being security?
I'm assuming you saw the setup we had. As soon as I saw the two sides were barbed wire, no rope barbed wire, and we had those weird fucking cages with the glass and the wire, I saw that and I immediately got a hard on. That shit was fucking awesome. Just walking out there and looking at that shit was amazing. So that was the match I was excited for. And even now, looking at the pictures, I can't believe I got the opportunity to wrestle in such a fucking hellhole looking ring for those finals. And trust me, that shit hurt just as much as as much pain as that thing looks like it can inflict. It did. At one point, Matt picked me up and threw me into the barbed wire ropes, and the barbed wire literally went straight up my ass crack. And I don't know, barbed wire in my dick is one thing. That's more of a mental scariness. The barbed wire in my asshole, that fucking hurts so bad. And I'm yelling to them, the guys on the side, I'm clip me out, get me the fuck out of here. And they clip me out of the barbed wire. I'm thinking I'm free. And I stand up and I realize they didn't remove the barbed wire from my asshole. They just clipped the either ends of the barbed wire. So what most people don't realize is I wrestled the rest of that match with a piece of barbed wire wedged in my ass crack. A little fun fact for you guys.
Oh, boy. I think you ripped your trunks in that, too, didn't you?
Those trunks are no longer able to be wrestled in because they are so full of holes. I don't remember what, but they definitely got a little ripped. As I said, there was barbed wire in my ass crack, so they'll tend to put a few holes in the trunks.
Yeah. And after that great performance, the next month you weren't even booked on the show. Now, why do you think that is?
Because DJ's fucking stupid.
Point taken.
DJ's fucking stupid.
Point taken. And something...
So I showed up anyway. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. Costa no I4K the
Fuck
match.
DJ.
Of course. That's something a lot of people say. But, I mean, I was kind of...
It's true.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised because you weren't on that show, and then at Retribution, the following month, you wrestled Dave Christ. So, definitely a downgrade from TOD, not putting anything on Dave Christ, but I think it's definitely something that confused a lot of people. And that's something that a lot of people are trying to tell DJ, hey, this guy deserves to be at the absolute top.
Why would it not make sense? Why would that be confusing? They would not remember after Danny Havoc's match when he came in, fucked up my shit. Isn't it perfectly the reason to want to wrestle that guy?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's confusing how you went from the top of TOD to the next month not being on the show. Then, of course, nothing away from Dave Christ, and then the next month, I believe Greg Excellent.
No. Greg Excellent. We had Tango. No. We had the next month. It was. Well, me and Lucky were supposed to wrestle Alex Ryan and Eric Colon, but we ended up just fighting a lot. We ended up just fighting a lot. Then we had the Tangled Web match, where another lovely moment of getting barbed wire in my asshole, and then I wrestled Greg Excellent.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Sorry about that. But, Tangled Web. That's... The Nation of Intoxication has been involved in a lot of Tangled Web matches. And one thing about that match is you were out surprisingly quick. A lot of people thought, it was the shining moment. It was your time. That was going to definitely cement you at the top. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But it did end the feud with OI4K. So, yeah, how was Tangled Web, other than that barbed wire asshole again?
Oh, I mean, just as lovely as you'd expect it to be. And the worst was that the weird fucking contraption that Alex Cologne DVD'd me through. It was like a barbed wire, it was like a bunk bed, carver strip barbed wire net. And the framing of the barbed wire net, one side of it, just the 2x4 just snapped right in half as soon as we hit the wire for I guess we had too much weight for it. And then, so I'm like laying on the wire that's kind of angled down to the floor. And then the worst was Alex Cologne pinned me. And then Lucky, who was still in the match, I don't blame him too much for this because you got to do what you got to do, came through the bunk bed with a double stomp on Alex. And in the process of that, he kind of caught me and it just like pushed me down the wire that I was laying on angled at. And just all the barbed wire that was already in my back just got dragged across about 6 inches. Same with my asshole. But I have a couple of new assholes.
Oh, boy. Well, I guess we'll touch Greg Excellent the next month. Now, Greg, that was, he's kind of turning over a new leaf at that show. How was it to be wrestling Greg? Because he's been around in CZW for, 10 years.
Greg was being a dick that day. I was kind of looking forward to that match. Those matches always looked like a fun, good old time. But it wasn't really that good old time. It wasn't that long. I think it was like a 6-minute match. I mean, that match was what it was. Greg Excellent was in a pitchy mood. And what happened, happened.
Definitely, I guess. Now, something I do want to touch on is Dojo Wars. Now, you were the first ever Medal of Valor champion. And
I was.
Cage of Death, you had you were involved in the Dojo Wars mega show against Brittany Blake for the championship. Now, unfortunately, you lost that. But how was it to the biggest Dojo Wars show and in the championship match?
I'll say one thing about that. If anyone with CZW Studios, if you don't have it yet, you should. And you can get it at czwstudios.com. I beat the shit out of Brittany Blake. That you can watch it. It's the Dojo Wars Mega Event #1. My God, I can't believe she was able to even stand after that match. I beat the shit out of that little girl. I was throwing her around on the apron. I threw her through a chair. Oh man, I dropped on her head more times than I can remember in that match. I hit her in the face. Yeah, I really beat the shit out of her match. If you ever want to see a full-grown man beat the shit out of a 90-pound chick, go watch that match on Dojo Wars 1. But yeah, props to her. She's a tough little chick. Brittany's always been somewhat of a pal of mine, so. But then again, I don't really give a shit who my friends are once I get in the ring, hence why I beat the shit out of her. So I'm glad she was able to hold on to that medal for a little while. She recently lost it to Kefka the Quiet at our recent mega event. I forget what number that is. I can't remember things. I drink a lot. Yeah. Now, what's she doing? Oh, yeah, she's with Dave Chris and then stupid fucking Scarlett and Graves group. Those two fucking losers who are with Dave Chris and those guys and that bald fat fuck. What's their names?
There's Desmond Xavier, Zachary Wentz, and JT Davidson.
Yeah, those fucking losers.
Actually, I do want to touch on them. You were recently involved in a match with them not too long after that, but you were involved in a match, like I said, at 17. How was it in that three-way match? Because Bucks Belmar unable to make it, so Frankie Picard was thrown in. How was it being in that match? Because you were against Dave, who you wrestled at Retribution, and Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz.
I wrestled Dez and Zach. Dez, I think, one more time than Zach, because me and Dez had the scramble match at Best of the Best. Then we wrestled in that, the 3-on-3. Then we did a tag match, and then recently we did the 8-man tag match for the 2-on-2. So I wrestled that little douchebag a couple times. That match sucked because he did some, I think was it that match? Might have been that match. I can't remember. Again, I've wrestled him a couple times. but it's some stupid fucking crazy flippy shit off the top, and this big fucking ass landed right in my face and broke
Yeah, that
my
was
nose.
that match.
Oh yeah, that fucker. Yeah, that wasn't fun. I had he landed on my fucking face with his big fucking ass, and I also jumped over the top rope and landed right on the guardrail. That didn't feel too good on the back of my legs. Again, it was a fun match, but it was what it was. That stupid shit happened. I hate when douchebags' ass landed on my face. It's never a pleasant moment.
Point taken. And, well, I guess about 2 weeks later, you wrestled for Beyond Wrestling. Now, you did wrestle with them before you faced Tracy Williams, but this time you faced one of your trainers, Drew Gulak. How was that match?
Oh, that was fun. I do one thing I always remember that match was the commentary. It was Tommy Ciampa and I forget who else on commentary. And I did my move, the soccer wrench, was a bridging Fujiwara, and Tommaso does the same thing on NXT. And funniest thing is listening to the commentary on that match is, that's my finisher, that's my damn finisher. But Drew was fun. Another match where he busted me open. Drew's, as being his student, he's busted me open a couple times, so that was nothing new to me. I forget what he hit me with. He was doing something else, and he clocked me in the head. And now I have a little, looks like a line from a heart monitor scar on my forehead. And then he stretched me out pretty good, slammed me in the ropes a bunch of times, knocked me in the face a couple times. So I did it all back to him. I like wrestling Drew. It was cool. It's always kind of fun. Then he gave me that mean fucking pile driver, and that was when the fun of that match completely ended, obviously. I didn't feel good at all.
And another promotion you've worked for, you've actually done quite a lot of work for them. You're currently Anarchy Champion in Vicious Outcast Wrestling. So what's it like working there?
I like Vicious Outcast Wrestling because the refs are a bunch of pussies, so I basically get to do a whole lot of what I want, and they know they can't really do much about it, or, well, shit happens. I wrestled Facade there. I wrestled me and G-Raver, fucking killed it. I got Alexander James. I bloodied that big, tall ginger fuck up a couple times there. Dale Patrick. I met Dale Patrick and John. People started leaving because they thought that was too much of us using a dildo in a match. And another funny story about the dildo, me and Dale Patrick used. Me, Dale Patrick, and Trip Cassidy. It was. I started beating them with a dildo, and then I shoved the dildo down Trip's throat. There's this one girl wrestler who works there, and she's young. I think she's 18 years old, but her father also attends the shows, and he saw that we used a dildo, and her father is no longer allowing her to work at VOW.
Wow.
Yeah, as it sounds, I have a lot of fun with that company. As I'm the Anarchy Champion, it's a 24/7 title, so I get to violence around the clock, which is right up my alley, and this is why I'm champion there. I get to basically use whatever I want, however I want, to hurt people and maim people is exactly what I get to do.
Well, last year for VOW, you were in Lord of Anarchy, and this year you'll also be in Lord of Anarchy. You'll be facing Trip Cassidy in a deathmatch buffet, including Kenzons, gusset plates, forks, carpet strip, fortune cookies. You're arguably going in there with an advantage, being the champion, but also a disadvantage because it's 24/7. But how is it to be wrestling in that match? Because you have two of the most violent weapons in any death matches. You have gusset plates and Kenzons.
As I said, I've been the champion there for a while. It's something I'm not used to. The person I feel bad for in that match is Trip Cassidy. The first thing I said was, damn, the people at VOW must not want Trip Cassidy to have any flesh left on his body after that match, given the gimmicks they've given us to use in that match. Honestly, if you've ever watched a lot of my CZW stuff, I've never used a Kenzon. I've never actually used a gusset plate. But I think I have a way, way more imaginative mind than Trip Cassidy does, and I can find a whole lot of ways to put those things in his body and make him very, very uncomfortable. I'm really excited for that one because all I remember is seeing Kenzons get buried into people's skulls and June Desai getting all fucked up in gusset plates. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do at Trip Cassidy. I'm excited for that one. It's going to be a fucking bloodbath.
Well, Kenzon's, Abdullah Kobayashi had one stuck literally in his skull. And gusset plates. The first ever gusset plate death match, Danny Havoc was involved in. So, and by the way, that match was crazy. Hit Masada with the plate and blood shot everywhere. But has he given you any advice on the whole gusset plate thing?
Not particularly. Danny doesn't come to VOW, so he's actually never been there specifically asked for advice. As I said, Danny's advice is very simplistic. He'll probably tell me to do just that, hit him in the head with it, make him bleed, something simplistic like that. Your basic idea is, I'm going to try to get a little more imaginative with it, though. I'm going to see what other places I can get a gusset plate stick in someone's body or tens on.
Fair enough. And another promotion you've done a lot of work for is On Point Wrestling. How do you like it there? And, you've had a lot of great matches with Jeff Cannonball. So what do you think about On Point and specifically Jeff?
I fucking love On Point Wrestling. It is such a great fucking place with a great fucking atmosphere and great fucking people. Jeff Cannonball, that big fucker. I've wrestled a lot of matches with him. We've deathmatched, we've wrestled, we've done a lot of shit. So, as me, Jeff, and Matt are in 4 deathmatch tournaments this summer together. So, obviously, working Jeff won't be anything new to me. I know exactly what to do, what to expect from him.
Another, a tournament actually you just mentioned you'll both be in is Survival of the Sickest. And first round you'll be facing Jim in a barefoot Pits of Destruction match. So how are you preparing for the pain of not wearing shoes? Because everyone's stepped on the occasion of a piece
I'm not
of glass.
preparing for any pain. That guy's a piece of shit and he sucks, and I'm just gonna fuck him up, and I'm gonna walk away completely unscathed. That shit guy's not gonna do anything to me. He's a piece of shit. Doesn't fucking belong in the ring with me. The fact that I'm wrestling him in a match is mildly insulting to myself. Yes, I'm going to stab him in his foot. I want to stab him in the bottom of his foot and just see how he feels. I'm going to make him regret every decision that he's ever made leading up to that point.
In terms of not wearing shoes in matches, it's always kind of been cringy because there's the barefoot syringe match with J.C. Bailey and Thumbtack Jack that really pushed the envelope. There was King of the Death last year. Dale Patricks and Adam Bueller had barefoot fish hooks and light tubes. So, I guess you're going to take it to Jimmy Lyon. But speaking of King of the Death, you'll be involved in the tournament this year. You've never worked for IWA Mid-South. How is it to be going down to King of the Death with Tremont and Cannonball?
Again, another tournament that we're all in together. I'm excited. It's my debut there. Obviously, it's always been 2 big tournaments have been Tournament of Death and King of the Death. So I'm glad to finally, knock this one out too.
2016 is almost half over. So by the end of the year, what do you want to say you've been able to do in wrestling?
I just want to be fucking violent. I just want to hurt people, make people bleed. I don't know. I don't have any real specific goals. I just like to see the look on people's faces when I see kind of things that I do to other people. It's kind of like a very, very fulfilling moment for me. When I wrestled Lucky, I tombstone him to a chair, and the first thing I did was look up. And the look on people's faces, that is something I will never forget. And that is something that I absolutely want more of. I want to create that moment with people where they just fucking can't believe what they are seeing in front of them.